once again to discuss things.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Geeky Gentlemen. I am Sid Part 2. Joining me today is Squatch Gang, Rasco, whatever the hell he's calling himself these days.
Yeah, my new name is Versace Head Lion Boy. Call me Versace Head Lion Boy next episode.
I'll try to remember that. I'll try to only call you that. I'll never use your actual name or username again. Anyway, so this week we're continuing our fan film reviews, and we're talking about a very short Spider-Man fan film. Rasco, what's the Spider-Man fan film we're discussing?
I believe the title is Marvel Knight Spider-Man, a fan film.
Indeed it is. So... Actually, just, I'd seen this one before, and I thought it was okay when I did, but searching for it today, they made a series out of this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you didn't catch that, did you? There's 3 episodes. They're pretty current right now. They're, I think they're posting one a month, and so there'll probably be another one posted in a couple days here, because their last one was posted 29th of April.
Okay.
They only have 3 other episodes down, but they're all right. I don't quite know what the hell's going on with Norman Osborn, but the makeup effects and stuff and costuming's okay. Action scenes are shot a little better, but we'll just talk about this one though. So what made you want to pick this one?
So this is one of those ones I'd seen a whole lot on the internet. Like the thumbnail, you just see that. I've seen that thumbnail so many times, like the Spider-Man with the hood on. And I watched part of it once, and I just was like, oh, that sounds like a good one to pick. Because it does 2 things. It does one thing right that so many other fan films typically based on superheroes don't do right. And then it does one thing that so many fan films do that it kind of makes it fall into the same trap as a lot of other fan films.
Okay, so what does it do right?
Okay, so with this, you clearly you can tell that they sat down and said, "Hey, look, what can we do for a fan film?" And they chose, okay, look, let's not get a Spider-Man costume. They probably at the time didn't think that they would have enough time to invest in a Spider-Man costume. I haven't seen the episode, so if he has a full costume in that, that might have been...
he does.
So my assumption is that with this, they were like, do we really want to make a Spider-Man costume? That's really hard. How is it going to look? And so they went with this thing where he's just got the mask on underneath the hood, which I actually like that because it's one of those things where you're thinking about what can you do on your own, on a fan film budget. And they clearly were thinking about how can we do a Spider-Man fan film, and not be too ambitious with it. So it does things like that also, in scope. But the other thing is, the thing that it does wrong is that, or I shouldn't say wrong, but the trap that it falls into, that tons of other fan films fall into, is that, and I made a point about this, it might not have been last episode, but it might have been one of the ones before that, but so many times fan films are not, they're not films. They're just short videos. There's not a story. You can't say, Peter goes and stops crime. It's 1 in a million Spider-Man scenarios that probably that would happen over the course of Spider-Man's career. It's not really it's not film,
Yeah, it's just a scene. It's an extended scene kind of thing.
Or it's like the stinger for a Spider-Man TV show. It's like the opening, the stinger before the title sequence.
Yeah, and I do think that this does fall into the trap of overambition, to be fair. those Doc Ock arms looked okay. There's no weight to them, but they looked okay. And that's, as far as a lizard costume goes, I've only ever seen one better one.
Could have been much worse.
What?
The lizard could have been much worse.
Yeah, and I thought it was smart to just cut it at that point, right? I would have preferred if maybe they tried to do some animation on the eye, because that's the only major problem I have with it.
Yeah.
Is that it's just like a, static mask eye. If they'd done something to, composite the eye in and out and all that jazz. But at the same time, that could have also ended up looking really bad, so I'm glad they didn't do it. So I don't know, I thought they did get kind of ambitious, but then they backed off enough.
Yeah, ambitious, that's as much as you could have possibly done, with the lizard and Doc Ock. I don't think if they made, if they made you sit there and watch Spider-Man fight the lizard in that stupid rubbery costume, it would work less. The same thing goes for Doc Ock, if he was more involved, it works because it's just kind of a little, thing at the end that just, leaves you oh, cool, Doc Ock and lizard.
Yeah, and then, it's weird. This has almost, two endings, right? Because you get the ending and then you get the after credits thing with Miles Morales.
Yeah, which is weird.
And they are continuing that plot thread very slowly. In their official series. It's 3 episodes in, and we're finally getting some more stuff with Miles Morales. So, but I think a lot of the stuff you're talking about, where they try to kind of have it both ways, kind of be ambitious, but at the same time don't really Okay, so we talked about Endgame last time.
Yeah,
and yeah, that's not a good fan film or whatever. It's it looks like they had fun making it. I'll give it that much. But they had the ambition to want to shoot a Green Lantern and Sinestro fight scene, but they just had absolutely no capability to do it. So you get kind of good costumes fighting in just the most ridiculous way. In their Spider-Man ones, in the other series in this line, and I'll try not to talk too much about these, but in their other series in this line, they do Venom and Carnage fighting Spider-Man, and it's really dark and does the whole shaky cam thing, and it's okay, so we have kind of bad costumes that are hidden by, a dark alley kind of thing, and we have, really shaky camera to hide the fact that the actors can't fight. So it's really symptomatic of that same thing. It's going just a step beyond showing Spider-Man running toward the lizard, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very symptomatic of the exact same problem. Of overambition, getting just too much in the way of capability. At the same time, since we keep bringing that up, I don't know if I can hold that against anything anymore. With that being such a consistent, quote-unquote, problem between all these different fan films, I'm just kind of left I think that's just part of the medium, if I can call it that.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see. There's got to be some good examples of where it's just perfectly minimalistic. There's got to be... The thing is, there's things like City of Scars, which is maybe just one step over that line of a little bit too ambitious visual, with some of the things that it tries to execute on visually. But so I don't know, you're right, it is a thing that keeps getting brought up. I think that it's more of a thing that just because sometimes it's not an issue with fan films. That's the only reason why I bring it up, because I've seen it done well, and I've seen zero budget films that never take you out of it for a second because it's so consistent and understands limitations.
I think it can be done well. I think Predator Dark Age did a really good job with that, where it didn't get too ambitious. It got really ambitious. We got exactly what we wanted in that, which is the Predator fighting a guy in a suit of armor for, a night.
Yeah, and you're right. And also, I'll say this about that. Predator Dark Age it could execute everything that it did. Like, there wasn't any effect in that where you're like, oh, they couldn't fucking pull that off, and they tried really hard, and it kind of looked shitty. Like, I don't really, like, the cloaking effect looks fine. Everything in that looks fine.
Yeah. And this, in this fan film, we get, like, a Spider-Man fight, and the webs look pretty good. I think this is more just a problem of, like, the fight scene doesn't look great just because of how it's shot. Like, you talk about the thumbnail, and it is a really cool thumbnail, but then when you actually get to that scene in the fan film, right, where it's slow motion, we're doing the spider sense thing, right? Mm. You have just a really nicely, like, really high-quality shot of Spider-Man, just, like, mask, hoodie, staring right at the camera, and it just looks like a Halloween mask. Like, you can see the nose holes. It really, like, just focusing that much on it made it look really bad. Yeah. And, you know, I'm sorry, that point highlighted that so much. Like, everything else in that I thought looked pretty good. It was really well shot otherwise. I think one of the best shots in this that I didn't expect to see done well in a fan film was Spider-Man jumping off a building. Like, I know exactly how they did that, but it was presented really, really well.
Yeah, the thing with the mask, it's like, I kind of, when I watched it, I was like, oh, that's a kind of shitty mask. And then I looked at some other Spider-Man fan films, and there are some other ones that have much better masks, so I was kind of like, oh, well, doesn't seem like it would have been very hard for them to, like, get another mask. I wonder if it was intentional, because, like, it looks like like Peter made that. Like, it looks like he made that, like, and it's just, like, I don't know. So, like, I kind of cut it some slack because...
See, here's the thing.
It's hard, though, because it is a case of it doesn't look very good, but...
Well, it's clearly a Halloween mask, so it doesn't look like he made it, is the thing.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, if they had just done it, like, you know, I honestly think that the actor in Civil War made that Spider-Man costume. Like, I can honestly believe that, because it looks so just absolute shit in like the first Spider-Man costume, not the one from the start.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, spoilers for Civil War.
Which Spider-Man's in that movie?
Yeah. No, so there's, like, that... You could do that. You could do the thing where I would actually believe that Peter Parker made that, and just really actually go out and, you know, with no skills at sewing whatsoever, make a Spider-Man mask.
Yeah, and you know what, actually, here's the thing. I like it much better if he does have some, like, actual, like, shitty assembled mask, like, his mask in Civil War is kind of just, like, goggles over, like, a, like, ski mask.
Yeah.
And it's like, if he had that works, like, better in every way. And I don't know, like that would have been much better.
Yeah, and so just if they just done something like really shit homemade, I'd like it more.
And that's also perfect for like this Peter, because it's clearly like a really young Peter, really young Gwen. So like if you had like really young Peter and he doesn't have his full costume yet, then that makes this fan film work even better. Because it establishes it, like, that it's young Peter. So, like, just a standard guy fights guys in an alleyway. That works better if it's just, like, if this is, like, early career Spider-Man. This is just, like, a little thing. And, like, that's what it would be like for Peter early on in his career. He's got to like, leave his class during a field trip to go beat up some guys. At that point, it's still not really a story. But, like, at that point, like, it's working better. I don't know.
Yeah, and, like, the thing for me is the mask being a Halloween mask wouldn't be a problem for me, if not for the fact that it is on screen, and it's really all you can look at on screen for a really long period of time in the best shot in the entire frickin' thing. Like, if that mask if it had looked like actual homemade crap, that'd be fine. That would have worked really well. It's that they tried to have something that looked more professional, and the only way that the the fact that it doesn't look that way makes any sense as if it's homemade, but it doesn't look. It looks too good to be homemade, but not good enough to be professional.
Yeah.
And so it's such a weird little nitpicky thing to focus on, but that legitimately bothers me. Because one thing that fan films tend to have fairly well done consistently is costuming.
Yeah,
because there's like this whole cosplay community out there.
Yeah, you make that makes that more glaring now, because that is kind of the thing. Like, you're making a fan film. Typically, I don't know if I've ever seen a fan film where like it didn't look like the costumes had been made by the people in the fan film.
Yeah, it like when my friends and I made our first movie, our horror movie, we went out and bought a scarecrow mask from a Halloween store because we didn't want to go through the process of making a mask because we were lazy and shit filmmakers. And so when you use a Spider-Man Halloween mask, it looks lazy. What'd you talk about? It was last time it was issues of quality or issues of work ethic. You were talking
craftsmanship.
Yeah, craftsmanship issue. It comes off as lazier than it should. And I don't know why I'm spending so much time like preoccupied with this one, but I guess that just bugged me more than anything else about this, because overall I think this is pretty good. The acting, as always in a fan film, is kind of flat. But the fight choreography, it was a little off. Like they're trying to do whole shaky cam. There are 3 ways to shoot a fight scene. The first way is from some distance with stable shots, so you can actually see all the things the actors are doing, and you only shoot that kind of scene if your actors actually know how to fight. The second way is to get all close and shake the camera and do a lot of quick cuts so you can hide the fact that your actors don't know how to fight. And the third way is to kind of mix the two of those and get kind of like middle distance with still a fair amount of shakiness and some quick cuts to disguise the fact that your actors kind of sort of choreographed this, but maybe by doing those other things will look good. They went with the third option. They should have gone with the second option. Because it looks a little bit better. They're almost at that thing where the third option can work, but they're not quite there. And it only gets worse than their other things.
Oh,
yeah, so...
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought up the thing, that you brought back that thing about, like, craftsmanship errors and things, because, like, you're right, like, I understand why that's so bothering, the Spider-Man mask thing, and stuff like that, because, like I said in whatever episode I said that, it's like, when you can, like, those are things that are controllable elements, that, like, if that's not working, it's really only your fault. Like, there's not a good excuse for it at that point.
And to be fair, in the other ones, the mask and the costume looks pretty good. So they definitely improve on that.
Yeah.
And also the actor, I don't know what they're doing. It seems like they're kind of doing a original Civil War thing. It's interesting. So. Yeah.
The thing with the actors, they're not terrible in this. Like, they're not like in the Green Lantern fan film. I was like laughing at some points when it was supposed to be literally the most serious parts of the movie. I was laughing and cringing when it wanted me to laugh in that. Like, it was the reverse in that. But this is something, I think this is the key with fan film. And here's the thing about actors in fan films. Like, if you're just filming things with your friend, fan films often enough have trouble enough with the technical side of just, like, basic filmmaking. And, like, those people, like, oftentimes you have fan films that, like, the directing is clearly the only thing that was given, like, that anyone gave a shit about. Like, the writing's not there, the acting's not there. It was just kind of an excuse to see some guy direct a Spider-Man fan film. Like, that's often the case with things. The actors weren't terrible, but here's the thing. I noticed this so much. I think what it is people deliver their line when you're not non-experienced actors deliver lines so quickly and it just doesn't feel natural. And that's the thing. Like, they're like, Gwen Stacy walks up, what is it, Pete? It's like, in real life, people talk much more slow and, like, drawn out with spaces in between their words oftentimes. And, it's just, everyone in a fan film seems like they're, like, waiting to say their line. Like, they shouldn't be, like, thinking about what they're about to say. They just should, like, when you speak in life, you just fucking speak. And it doesn't necessarily sound like you were thinking, like, when do I speak? When do I speak? Ah, no! And then, like, you bird out your line. And that's what happens in fan films a lot.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'm glad that I don't think my movie has that problem. At least not in spades, so I'll take that. Not saying we're great actors, but I'll take that. Because I do see where you're coming from. It does feel like just, it makes it feel rushed, because that's the thing, is it's a little flat, and just there's not enough. Like, she just kind of walks up to him and says, "What is it, Pete?" Without, like, taking any time to register that something seems wrong.
Yeah, like, not looking at him. Like he just walks up, stands next to him, and is not even looking at him when she says that. I don't think maybe I'm wrong about that. But, like, I don't know, like, and, like, obviously, if they're not, I don't know if they're actors or not. But I've seen worse actors. I watched another Spider-Man fan film that was filmed with, like, all 13-year-olds. And it was hilarious.
I think you just like fan films because you like to just mock people's efforts.
Well, no, it's more of a thing where, like, I consider myself, like, those people my peers. Because, like, I plan within the next, like, year or so to be not doing necessarily fan films, but I'm going to be doing a lot of, like, projects, independent, like, little zero-budget films and things like that. But, so, like, I kind of consider these people, like, I'm really interested in just to see what other people are doing. And I kind of consider them, like, my peers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, I gotcha. That sounds really funny, though. I almost want to start watching these, like, with you and doing commentaries as we go.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That would be so funny.
Oh, man. Maybe we should transition to that, where we can just do a commentary on it, and, like, just, if it's a short one like this, we could just put it on a loop. But, like, I don't know, would that mean we'd have to watch it twice? Because I wouldn't just want to do that blind, right?
We could just talk about it a little bit after it's over or something. I don't know.
Maybe. My thing with commentaries is I don't think it's fair to do them blind. I feel like you have to watch the movie first to watch it again with a commentary. But maybe that's just me. Anyway, is there anything else to talk about with this one?
Doc Ock. Never saw it until now. But Black Doc Ock it works for me. It just gave me the greatest idea. Lawrence Fishburne needs to be the next Doc Ock.
But he's busy being Perry White.
Yeah, I know, but he needs to be Doc Ock. Because I saw Black Doc Ock, and I thought of, like, so many good actors that could perfectly, like, be, like, a really sympathetic, good, like, Denzel Washington like Denzel Washington Doc Ock or something like that.
Denzel Ock. Yeah, okay, I could see that. I thought that was an interesting little just thing to throw in there too. And they must have really wanted to, because there was absolutely no reason for him to be Doc Ock, but they just threw that.
It could have been like any. It could have been the Lizard. Literally, could have been like any Spider-Man villain. Because, like, so often Spider-Man, but, like, in Amazing Spider-Man 2, like, it just seemed like they were going to try to make everything related back to Oscorp, I guess. So, like, it could have been.
And I mean, that makes sense. I actually liked that idea. It just wasn't done well.
I like that idea, but what it bothers me is when, like, I don't want, like, Mysterio to be related to some, like, science, technology, research facility thing. Like, I don't want that. I want Mysterio to be a guy that's great with, like, optical illusions and stuff. Like, I don't want, like, certain characters, it makes sense. Like, Doc Ock makes sense, I guess, and, like, you could, like, lizard, that's one that makes sense. But
all the animal genetic-based ones make sense. The technology ones, I'd tend to agree, should be something else.
yeah, I just think, like, Mysterio is a better one to keep separate from, like, Oscorp, and, like, and Kraven should not be involved with Oscorp, I don't think.
Kraven is in this series.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. My lizard just ran across the room and into the comic book box, and now he's going back the other way. Just, like, seriously face planted it. It was pretty funny. Anyway, sorry. He's distracting as hell. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have much else to say about this. The stuff with Doc Ock tends to make less sense as it goes on, unfortunately, is the only other thing. Like, it'll be interesting for you to, because I'm sure you'll probably go watch the other ones.
I think I will.
And they're like each about 10 to 15 minutes around there, so.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll talk to you about them next week briefly. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about next week. But let's do scores first. Rasco, what will you give Marvel Knights Spider-Man, a fan film?
I will give this fan film 3.5 out of 5 lifeless lizard eyes.
I will give this... Yeah, I think 3.5 is a really fair score. I'll give it 3.5 out of 5 Halloween Spider-Man masks.
Paper mache.
Right. Okay, so next week we're going to be doing the longest fan film we've done yet. And I haven't watched it, because I don't know, I just really like doing that. Going into these blind, I think, is really interesting. Because, I mean, that's how you go into fan films, right? You rarely watch them because people recommended them or whatever. You just kind of find it and go, oh, that looks interesting. So we're going to be doing the longest one we've done. It's called Star Trek Horizon Full Film by Project N Resource on YouTube. It's got 1,305,000 views. So this should be something. It's an hour and 42 minutes. So I'm gonna apologize in advance that if it sucks. I hope it doesn't.
Okay.
Any final thoughts before we end?
I was just gonna say, when you said the longest fan film yet that we've talked about, thought you were gonna say BVS.
Oh, ouch! I honestly would say Civil War feels like more of a fan film, given that damn airport fight, than BVS. But fair enough.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's my problem with that. Like, I have so many conflicted feelings about Civil War, but about the airport fight. But my main one is because they're going so hard to, like, oh, we can't endanger civilians. They've made that such a big part of themselves now that shooting it in a frickin' airport, like, tarmac makes it feel like a fan film, because it's just, like, it has no scale at that point. And it really, like, kind of undercuts it. If that scene was in a fan film, it'd be fucking fantastic, but in a major motion picture, I'm like, this just feels so empty.
What's weird is that there was people there while they filmed it.
Really?
Yeah, the airport didn't close. They just sectioned off areas of it for filming.
Interesting. Sorry, everyone. Little Civil War thought. I still like Civil War. Don't get me wrong. I just have conflicting feelings about that airport fight. Anyway, that'll do it for this episode of Geeky Gentlemen. Thank you, as always, Rasco, for joining me, and thank you, the listener, for listening as we discussed a Spider-Man fan film. And join us next week, where we go where no fan or reviewer has gone before, and talk about a Star Trek fan film. All right. See you, everyone.